Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Elephant Exposed. I'm your host, CJ Jones, and Mr. T and TBS. Also, um, just going to get right into it. Got some additional video footage from different um, news stations, and also in my feed, I was also looking at um, some spin masters, if you will. And before I got, uh, to be fair, what I try to do is, just like we do here on Elephant Exposed, we try to at least see what other people's perspectives are. And not to say that we always going to agree with their perspective and how they word things and different things like that. Everybody is entitled to their opinions. That's what I believe, which make this needs to be said, Elephant Exposed, a more objective type of platform, because um, just because you have a different platform or you have a different perspective doesn't mean I'm going to shut you completely out or I feel like you have nothing to say. Um, I will hear you and I will try to understand you and try to look through your eyes to try to see, oh, okay. Um, you know, because to me, that's what listening to a full, complete story is. More than one person sees this, more, and we all come from different backgrounds, different experiences. And so when we do look at something, when we share an opinion or whatever the case may be, we have to put ourselves in that position to respect one another's viewpoints. So with that being said, as I was going through my feed, right before we get to this breaking news that's coming from NBC4, WCMH TV in Columbus, um, I was looking at another person breaking the original video down like how I did previously. And when you words matter, I'll say it like that. Words matter. And when you take a word to replace a word, it changes the perspective, it changes the tempo, it changes the temperature of whatever you are articulating about. So I listened to this guy. Um, he at the beginning stuck with the facts, but he did kind of give the warning at the beginning of his video saying that once he did start to do his analyzing of the video, that it's his perspective. So you can't argue someone's perspective and you can't tell someone how to articulate. So, and at first I was going to do a breakdown of his breakdown, but there's no need. So we're just going to go ahead and stick with the facts. We'll stick with the news, and we'll see um, if anything new has come of this, anything has come to light. I do believe in this particular coverage, we're going to see some stuff. So let's go ahead and get it started. Here we go, guys.
From NBC4. That breaking news, we are getting our first look at what led to a deadly shooting involving a Blendon Township police officer and a pregnant woman. We do want to thank you for tuning in at midday. I'm Jennifer Bullock. Now we are going to walk you through this video, but also recognize not everyone wants to see this. So we do want to warn you, some of these images will be disturbing. Now is the time to either mute the television or leave the room. Today's body camera release comes 8 days after Takiya Young was shot in the Kroger parking lot on Sunbury Road. It was August 4th. Blendon Township's police chief, John Belford, says the 21-year-old was one of several people stealing alcohol. When police were alerted, officers say Young was in her vehicle and was asked several times to get out. Police then say Young put the car in gear and drove toward an officer. Chief Belford says Young was given aid on the scene, but later died from her injuries. Once again, we are going to show you that body camera video from the police officers from that evening. We are bringing you team coverage of the release. NBC4's Caleb Michael standing by with reaction from Young's family. But we begin with Jamie Ostroff on the scene, but later died.
Okay, guys, I am bumping the video back. It's not a glitch. I had a thought that just come to my mind just now. You remember when I was saying before we started the video, I said words and articulation matter. What got my attention with this other analyst is basically he has the same breakdown as we're looking at right now. Takiya Young shot and killed August 24th. Police said she was stealing alcohol. Okay, so evidently she was, because I don't know if you looked at my other videos, I was saying, because I responded to this very raw, and which means that I didn't have, except for what was just played in front of me, and I was playing it for the first time, being recorded. So, but I also said that I would stay on top of this as much as I could to keep everybody updated. So, and during my video, I was saying, was it even verified that she was stealing or not? And again, you can be breaking the law in any crime, in every crime that is committed, or allegedly or not, does not mean that it's an automatic, or should not mean that it is an automatic death sentence. So, stealing or not, caught on video. If you go onto YouTube right now, we hold nothing back here on Elephant Exposed. There is video footage of Takiya Young taking alcohol, stealing the alcohol. Okay, so that has been established. The third bullet drove toward officer. That's a lot different from this other guy's video saying, she struck the officer, taking him off his feet. When you articulate certain things, people get a certain picture. I'll give you an example. One of my go-to examples of one of the things I couldn't stand to hear when people would complain in domestic situations. We were fighting. You were fighting because you don't know someone else's experience. You don't know their definition of what a fight is. Okay, a fight to some people is verbal, word battle. Some people describe that and call that a fight. Well, where I'm from and how I think a fight is hand to hand, fisticuffs. We scrapping, we furniture moving, we getting down. Okay, there's dust flying and things like that. So to me, that's my definition of a fight. So again, when are doing these bullets, points and everything, regardless of whether it's a newscast platform versus someone's personal podcast platform, we know what we're saying, and because we are knowing that, and we're knowing how to say it, we're also very well aware of the emotion that we are trying to draw from our audience. Now, I consider my audience to be educated, and or at least if you're not educated in whatever we're talking about, you have an open mind to be objective. And I like to consider my audience to be level and reasonable minded thinkers. So we won't try to draw some unnecessary emotion from you or any of those things. Like we said many times on this platform, if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. And then lastly, the bullet point. Now this guy, he was very particular as to the particular hospital that she was taken to, 6 miles away, and she died succumbing to her gunshot wound. Okay. And not only she died, but like in the there's a video from her grandmother saying, nah, it just wasn't she died. She had a baby girl that was expecting to be here, and her baby girl are no longer with us. So I will continue. Let's go ahead with this video from here.
Died from her injuries. Once again, we are going to show you that body camera video from the police officers from that evening. We are bringing you team coverage of the release. NBC4's Caleb Michael standing by with reaction from Young's family. But we begin with Jamie Ostroff here to walk us through the newly released video. Again, warning you ahead of time that what we are about to show you is disturbing in case you would like to step away. Jamie?
Yeah, Jen, thank you. So what we are about to see is body-worn camera footage from each of the two officers who were involved in this incident last Thursday. Each video is just over a minute long as the confrontation with Takiya Young plays out in just a matter of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The first officer to interact with Takiya Young approaches her car under the suspicion that she stole liquor from Kroger.
Hey, stop. Hey, out of the car. Out of the car.
By the time the second officer gets to the car and walks in front of it, the first officer had asked Young to get out 5 times. He keeps asking. Young argues. As the officer continues asking Young to get out of the car, she begins to drive. The officer in front of the car fired one shot through the windshield. He had paused the video to not show that deadly.
Okay. Now I want everyone to take a look at this. I know this happens super fast. Okay. And you have people that are claiming that the two officers are victims of one officer decided to put his hand in the car, and the other officer decided, well, the officer that shoots Takiya, I'm so sorry. He is the one that puts himself in front of Takiya's vehicle. Obviously, Takiya can see the police officer in front of the vehicle. No one, and I do mean no one, whether you fear the police officers or not, whether you respect the police officers or not, one of the things that anyone in that heightened type of situation is going to do, you're not going to flat out just hit that accelerator like how this other analyst was saying to hit the officer. She turns the wheel several times. Whenever they originally showed this video, and I cannot find, I've been trying to find it forever, someone had captured the wheels of her car were turning. But I noticed that video disappeared. But it doesn't stop the police cam from showing her turning the wheel. So this striking of the police officer, this hitting of the police officer was not malicious. It was not a thing to kill the police officer. That was a thing of fleeing. If you ever had to flee from a situation that you did not want to be involved in, you're conscious of leaving the situation, not so conscious of anything else. And like I was yelling and really mad at this police officer for actually putting himself in harm's way. And I do not take that back at all. Just like I feel like he definitely did not have to display his firearm to show deadly force. She's in a vehicle. She can be chased. There's a lot of other things that could have happened. I have the background in order to say these things. So even the officer reaching in a window this thick or whatever the case may be, why did you put yourself in that position? So you can use deadly force. I'll just say it. So you can use deadly force, because depending on who hears this, who listens to the articulations and everything else, they'll be like, well, she hit the police officer. I mean, you have a right to, yes, you do. Because if you say it like that, then yes, if someone is using a vehicle to strike, hit anyone, deadly force is authorized. Why? Because the car itself becomes a weapon. Okay. But like I was saying before, if you are going out of your way to put yourself in harm's way, then you are in the wrong as the police officer. You are in the wrong. So I say that, I said it then, I say it now, and I mean it. I do not look at these police officers as being victims at all, except for they were victims of their own ego and stupidity. They're still here. She and her daughter are not. Let's continue.
Asking Young to get out of the car, she begins to drive. The officer in front of the car fires one shot through the windshield. We had paused the video to not show that deadly shot. When we pick up the video a moment later, we hear the commands continue. The car rolls through the parking lot, stopping under the awning by the store.
So that officer didn't even realize that she was already fading from being shot. I mean, that's understandable.
The officer, she denies stealing anything from Kroger, and she can be heard saying, "Are you going to shoot me?"
Yeah.
Also, you may have noticed Blendon Township Police did not identify either of the officers and even blurred their faces there in the video. Chief John Belford alluded to Marcy's Law, claiming the two officers are crime victims and believes their identities are protected by state law.
And that's the
Yeah.
BS.
Jamie, thank you. Right now, NBC4's Caleb Michael is live outside the Blendon Township Police Department, which is where Takiya Young's family viewed the video for the first time earlier this morning. Caleb, you spoke with the family's attorney. What can you tell us?
Well, Jen, we were here when Takiya Young's family arrived to go inside the Blendon Township Police Department and view that body cam video. They were inside for less than 10 minutes. When they came back outside, it was silent. They were visibly upset, crying. They gave each other hugs, they got in their cars, and then they drove away. Now, shortly after that is when the Blendon Township Police Department publicly released that video with a statement, within a statement detailing the process they went through to get to this point and why it took them more than a week. Chief John Belford says this situation is a tragedy and is asking for prayers to the family during this time. Shonda Brown, the attorney representing the family, says they were not ready to speak on camera, but she did tell us this.
Family is obviously distraught. They've just seen the video of their daughter, of their granddaughter, of their mother for her young children, what we believe get killed by the police department. And I think the video is going to speak for itself. And I think you guys are going to be able to see it, and we appreciate the concern that the community has for the family. And it's just going to be, I think, a devastating video for people to see.
Jen, we also learned that the officer who did not fire their weapon is back on active duty, but that officer who did fire their weapon is still on leave pending a review. Local for you in Blendon Township, I'm Caleb Michael. NBC4.
Caleb, thank you.
Standard.
Now, along with the video, Blendon Township Police Chief John Belford released a written statement. He addresses why it took 8 days for the public to be able to see what happened. Belford's statement says in part, quote, "We did not provide a precise estimate of a particular release date to anyone, as we were unsure of how long it would take to make the countless redactions and undergo the required legal review." He goes on to say a lawsuit is very likely to be filed about this incident. There may be other legal proceedings as well. That's why we are very limited in what we can say. We are being as transparent and forthcoming as we can, given these significant legal constraints. As a result, we don't anticipate making any further statements until official actions are taken. Right now, the Fraternal Order of Police is holding a press conference on the release of that
Of course they
video.
are.
We have a crew there and we'll bring you their reaction coming up. And of course, our team is continuing to go through the video and we'll bring you any updates throughout the newscast as well as online at nbc4i.com.
Now, breaking news from NBC4.
That breaking news, we are getting our first look at what led to a deadly shooting involving a Blendon Township police officer and a pregnant woman. We do want to thank you for tuning in at
All
midnight.
right.
I'm Jennifer Bullock. Now
So
we are
let me
going
go
to
ahead and stop this video real quick.
but also recognize that not everyone wants.
All right. So had a little trouble stopping the video. Hopefully that pans out. So there we have it, guys. Fact versus fiction, speculation, and everything else. To each his own. You know, people are going to believe what they want to believe. When it comes to the case with Takiya Young, you're going to have a lot of people like the guy that I was just describing earlier in this video. They're going to dig into, you know, the backgrounds of these victims and claim, oh, they were criminals before. They had criminal background. Not even their own family, you know, even their own family had issues with them and stuff like that. When you do things like that, what you're doing is that you're tearing down what actually took place, and you know you're doing it because what you're trying to do is that you're trying to desensitize what actually took place. And for the people that want to continue to do things like that, I have a question for you. If that was your family member, would it matter if they were a known criminal, a habitual criminal, if they had family issues or not? Most of the time, we as the public wouldn't even know. Why? Because we will be told, oh, it's irrelevant. The only time it will become relevant is that if you were trying to paint a picture for this person as being a victim, you would say things like, oh, yes, they had problem with drugs, but they were working on it. Or they had a problem with alcohol, but they were working on it. Or they had a problem, you know, family issues and so forth. No, you wouldn't get a long rundown of a rap sheet of all the things that they've done wrong and so forth. And no wonder that this situation took place. You wouldn't set the stage like that. So we won't set the stage like that for Takiya Young. It does not matter what these people were doing while they were doing it. This is because you are approaching this from a George Floyd point of view all over again. And ultimately, it's not going to matter when it comes to these legal proceedings. Oh, well, Judge, you know, she has a background. What happened? Oh, well, you know, she had this and she had done that. What happened? We are going to concentrate on what happened. If she stole, that would make her a thief. She would be held accountable appropriately. Where is she? Oh, she's deceased along with her child, her daughter. Why she's not here? Oh, because deadly force was used. Why? Oh, because she struck me with the car. Really? So she turned the car towards you, hit the gas pedal to kill an officer or tried to kill, and she held on to the police officer's hand, the other police officer's hand, and she began to take off. Because that's what they want you to believe. That's what they want you to feel and see when they use words like, oh, there were three victims, technically four. The baby, the mother, and the two police officers. The police officer that got the one guy that left his hand in the car, and the other officer getting taken off his feet. But without video, it would sound like, oh, this is quick, in and out, real easy to analyze, and it's not. That's why we have video now, to better show you or to bring into full picture when you hear these benders of words and these smooth talking plot twisters, put their spin out there for the masses to eat up. We don't fall for it here on Elephant Exposed. So with that being said, guys, I want to thank you again for watching. Again, all of your views, all of your comments, all of your likes, we really do appreciate it. And I thank you to our newer viewers for coming in. Thank you. Welcome so much to Elephant Exposed. We will continue to stay on top of this. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear more and more about this. And if you want to see more of my content, you know what you got to do. Hit that subscribe button. And every time we do this video, you will be one of the first ones to see it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll catch you next time.